Look closely at the frantic trades powering today's global stock markets, and you'll find they rely on a 500-year-old framework popularized by a Franciscan monk. During the 15th century, the Italian Renaissance sparked an explosion of cross-border trade. Goods, spices, and gold were flowing through city-states at a pace no one had ever seen. But the merchants driving this boom hit a massive bottleneck. They were trying to track this wealth using a chaotic mix of local systems, often relying on single-sided narrative diary entries that made it impossible to balance accounts across regions. Without a standardized method for recording transactions, errors cascaded. A merchant in Venice couldn't reliably audit a partner in Florence, making it difficult to maintain a business once it grew beyond the sight of its owner. Sustaining cross-border commerce required faster ships and larger stores of gold, but these physical assets were useless without a universal method to verify the truth of a transaction. The frustrating part was that a mathematical solution already existed. A highly effective accounting method had been developed by a small circle of Venetian merchants, but they kept it locked away as a closely guarded trade secret. Enter Luca Pacioli. He wore the robes of a Franciscan friar, but he spent his life traveling widely across Italy, working as an ambitious tutor and a brilliant mathematician. Having lived with merchants and taught university classes, Pacioli occupied a unique position. He stood between the elite logic of university geometry and the gritty daily realities of street-level commerce. He recognized that the secretive Venetian tracking method could eliminate the era's financial chaos. He decided to take that closed network of knowledge and distribute it to anyone who could read. In 1494, Pacioli published a 600-page encyclopedia of mathematical knowledge called the Summa de Arithmetica. He made a calculated decision to write the entire manuscript in vernacular Italian. By rejecting Latin, he ensured the material was accessible to everyday tradespeople. He then used the recently invented mechanical printing press to mass-produce the text, distributing this previously restricted knowledge across the continent. Tucked inside the book was a section outlining a concept known as double-entry bookkeeping. The rule was absolute. Every financial debit recorded on one side of a ledger required an offsetting credit on the other. Pacioli warned his readers to never go to sleep at night until those two columns matched perfectly. By creating this self-verifying loop, Pacioli provided merchants with a way to audit themselves, an internal proofing system that ensured a ledger remained completely accurate, regardless of how many hands it passed through. Later art historians like Giorgio Vasari would harshly accuse Pacioli of plagiarizing the math in the Summa from older, unpublished manuscripts. That critique misses his actual achievement. Pacioli rarely claimed to invent the math. His skill was in taking raw, localized practices, applying strict logical axioms, and standardizing them into a cohesive manual. The sheer utility of the Summa made Pacioli a celebrity. The Duke of Milan invited him to teach at the ducal court, where the friar crossed paths with a resident artist named Leonardo da Vinci. The two formed an immediate partnership. Pacioli tutored Leonardo in advanced mathematics and geometry, while Leonardo da Vinci himself provided the incredibly complex skeletal illustrations for Pacioli's next groundbreaking treatise on divine proportion. Through their collaboration, the spatial logic used to balance a merchant's bank account was applied to the vanishing points and composition of the Last Supper. Meanwhile, the Summa's accounting chapters spread rapidly, becoming the definitive operational manual for European businesses for the next 100 years. This standardized tracking allowed a central owner to monitor distant agents with mathematical certainty. By making disparate accounts legible to outside investors, it became possible to pool capital for increasingly large ventures, creating the transparency needed for the complex legal structures of the modern corporation. Even with the advent of cloud computing and high-frequency algorithms, the core mechanics of Pacioli's double-entry accounting remain almost completely unchanged 5 centuries later. The framework for modern bookkeeping was consolidated not by a merchant prince or a king, but by a traveling friar who saw the value in taking local tricks and turning them into a universal standard. His influence crossed entirely out of economics. His writings on geometric proportion and the golden ratio continued to shape visual aesthetics deep into the 20th century. We see this direct lineage in the work of surrealist painter Salvador Dali, who meticulously studied Pacioli's principles to structure his own canvases. Dali mathematically framed his own version of the Last Supper using a massive dodecahedron, a specific geometric form analyzed and popularized by the friar hundreds of years earlier. These same proportional systems were later adopted by the pioneering architect Le Corbusier to define the precise spatial standards of modernist architecture. Pacioli's specific rules for constructing the Roman alphabet even determined the thickness-to-height ratio of the classic capital M, used for decades as the logo of the Metropolitan Museum of Art. It is a reminder that human progress rarely relies on a single flash of original invention. The most durable advancements often come from those who can gather the fragmented knowledge of a few, synthesize it clearly, and distribute it to the rest of the world.